Hello and welcome to Miss Perry's Lab. Today we are going to be making our solar oven. This is in Advanced Earth Science, Unit 10, Lesson 8. We're going to be completing that activity. And this is something that is very practical. You can use it when you are camping. Solar ovens are used all over the world to cook things. And today we're going to be making some yummy s'mores. You can cook anything that doesn't require a large amount of heat, but today some yummy s'mores. So let's get started. And the materials that you need are listed here. There are also some substitutes that we can use, and we'll talk about those as we make our solar oven. So let's get started. Alright, so step one is to cover the bottom of our pizza box with foil. So I'm just going to use my glue stick. It says to tape. You can tape or glue that foil down, but you want the bottom covered with your aluminum foil. So I am going to just use my glue stick and cover the bottom with some glue, and I am going to cover the bottom of my pizza box with my aluminum foil. And I can come back and trim the sides if I need to. I'm going to overlap mine just a little bit because it doesn't cover the full bottom. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue here, and mine's going to overlap a little bit. Okay, so I now have the bottom covered in foil. Like I said, I'm going to trim out this excess. Okay, once you have put foil in the bottom of your box, you're then going to put black construction paper. I'm going to leave just a margin of the foil showing around the edges. This black construction paper is what is going to help absorb the heat. So I'm just going to put a layer of glue on. Again, leaving just the outside borders with no glue because I'm not going to have construction paper there. And we're just going to put this black construction paper over our layer of foil. Okay, so now I went back and I glued down my corners so that all of my construction paper is down. And now I'm actually going to skip step 2, which is cutting out the plastic. I'm going to cut out the plastic here in just a moment. And I'm going to move to step 3, which is to close the box. And what you want to do is you want to measure 3 centimeters inside. So we're going to close our box here. I'm going to measure 3 centimeters in on each side, and I'm going to draw a square. Basically, I'm going to cut out everything except this back flap so that we have a hinge there where we can open our oven. Okay, so I'm actually measuring in an inch. 3 centimeters just didn't seem like enough. You want a big enough opening for obviously your solar energy to get in, but you don't want to leave such a thin amount that it's going to be hard to cut. So I'm going to measure in an inch on all sides here. And that'll give me plenty of room that my opening will be big enough, but I can still safely cut out the opening for my oven. And it leaves enough for the hinge in the back to work. If you don't leave enough space, that hinge is going to be too thin and it's going to break. Okay, and then I'm just going to connect these and draw a square so that I know where to cut. Okay, so as I stated, I did an inch in on all sides, and I drew my my box around an inch. So I'm going to cut out these 3 sides. I'm going to leave the back attached and cut out these 3 sides, the 2 sides and the front, so that I have a hinge and I can have an opening. In the materials, it just says you need scissors, so feel free to use scissors. If you have a box cutter and adult supervision or have an adult do this step, then that's going to be the safest thing. So I'm actually going to use a box cutter, and I'm going to cut out along this line. Alright, once you have cut on those 3 sides, you should be able to open up your box. If there's anywhere that's not cut deep enough, you might need to go back and cut that. Okay, so now I have a nice hinge here, And I'm just going to kind of crease it right here so that it folds nicely along. Okay, and our next step is to cover the inside of the flap that faces the box with aluminum foil. So I'm going to open my box back up. I'm going to get aluminum foil. I am going to cover this with glue and my aluminum foil. Okay, I now have the inside of that covered with my aluminum foil. Okay, and then the step that we skipped was measuring our plastic. So this is where you can use your cling wrap and you can measure it. And I'm going to deviate from the OLS instructions just a bit here. It says to measure the plastic, place your s'more down, and put your plastic over the s'more. But this is where we're actually going to put our plastic here under our flap. And that way you can reuse it over and over, reuse your solar oven without having to get a new piece of plastic every time. One thing that you can substitute for your plastic wrap is a sheet protector that you would put on papers. And you can just kind of rip those apart. You have a sheet protector and just kind of rip that apart so that it's one piece. This plastic is a little bit more sturdy and it's going to work a little bit better. But if you don't have a sheet protector, you can definitely use your cling wrap. So just measure that across your flap, and you are going to, if you tape it to this side of the box, then when we open our flap, your plastic will be there. So that's the step we're going to do now. Okay, so I've cut my plastic out and I'm just going to tape it to the edges of the box here. And this is where I'm going to use my clear plastic tape because that glue isn't strong enough to hold it. And you want to just get it as tight as possible so that it's like glass across the top of there. So we're going to just tape this plastic down along the edges. Alright, so I have taped that plastic along the inside. Now I can close my box up. Alright, and when I open this up, I now have a layer of plastic across the top of this. And again, you want that to be as tight as possible, but kind of look like glass across the top of that. So this differs from the OLS instructions in that they say to put that over your s'more, and I'm going to have us put it here on the inside flap, so that's like glass. Okay, so like I said, you can use the string as the OLS suggests. I'm actually going to use a bamboo skewer, or you can just use any stick that you find outside. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a piece of tape. I don't have any masking tape or scotch tape. Any kind of tape would work. I just have our clear packing tape, and so I'm just going to use that, and I'm going to cut it so that it's a little bit thinner here. And I'm just going to kind of make a circle around our skewer here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape it to the side of my box. Okay? And then I have, and I'm actually going to, mine is a little bit long, so I'm going to break it off. Be careful if you break it off. And then I'm actually just going to put tape around the bottom of that so that there's no sharp edges poking out. Okay, so I've now taped our stick to the box, and you can actually do one on both sides if you want a little bit of extra stability. But we now have a finished solar oven. We're ready to place whatever food we want inside. Also place your thermometer inside to record the temperature as you're cooking your s'more. And then you can use your skewer to prop, or your stick, to prop your box open as you are cooking. Enjoy!